Dan Hooker had an assessment. He had a guess for what is next for him should he beat Dustin Poirier. He said Tony Ferguson, a title fight, or Conor McGregor. Those were the three things that he laid out. I don't disagree with him there. And when he's talking about title fight, he's talking about the winner of Gaethje versus Khabib. Hooker qualifies for that. No way around it. He qualifies right now. He not even fighting Dustin Poirier. Hooker gets to be in that conversation. I don't know that I'm very bearish. I don't know that I'm bullish on that idea because of the way the dates match up. That makes me a little bearish that he will draw into a title fight. No question that he deserves it. I don't know that the dates are going to match up in his favor for that. Unless something were to happen with Khabib and or Gaethje and he could slide in that way. He brings in Tony Ferguson. Now that's a very interesting one. I've got word out of Ferguson's camp that he is itching, that he is ready to go and looking to fight. And I would agree with Hooker's assessment that with a win, he gets Ferguson. I do not believe the loser of that contest would draw into Tony. And I only bring that to you because generally, broad stroke, but guys coming off losses, fight other guys coming off losses. Guys coming off wins, go with other guys with wins. I don't know that anybody even knows that Tony Ferguson lost. I mean, he's won so damn many fights, and there were so many moving parts to that contest in 249. We're in the middle of a pandemic. He weighed in 2 different times. He wasn't supposed to lose. He fought his butt off. Big upset. I mean, you see what I'm saying? I don't know that anybody's going to view Tony Ferguson as a guy coming off a loss, even though he's a guy coming off a loss. What I would add for Hooker, and perhaps Hooker has missed this, is he has been on the tip of Nate Diaz's tongue. And Diaz appears to be complimentary of him. Diaz is going on social media and putting out Hooker's clips. He's going on his Instagram and showing himself watching Hooker fights. One of the fights that he posted was Hooker fighting Gilbert Burns and knocking Gilbert Burns out. So I didn't know how to interpret this piece of production and theater and social media posting by Nate Diaz because he was also in a dust-up with both Usman and Gilbert Burns, and perhaps he was taking a shot at Gilbert Burns. Perhaps that's all it was. Either way, he portrayed Hooker in a very good light. And one thing about Diaz is, I'm telling you, he appears to be a little bit of a fan of Dan Hooker. Before you go, well, then Chael, why would he want to fight him? If he's being nice to Hooker, how are you drawing the conclusion that they're going to compete with each other? Because that's what Nate ticks on. Nate's not a bully. Nate's never been a bully. Nate goes out there and fights the absolute best. He fights guys who he looks at and respects and goes, you know what? You deserve an opportunity. I'm gonna throw your name in the ring, right? I will remind you of when he fought Masvidal. When he called Masvidal out. He was very complimentary of Masvidal. He even had just watched Masvidal knock out Ben Askren. He said, man, I just watched George Masvidal go do his thing. That is a quote. He was impressed. He thought that Masvidal earned it. He said, I looked at Masvidal's record. He's been doing this as long as I have. I remember what it's like not being able to get an opportunity fighting before all these guys that are coming in, closing out the show in these main event and title fights. So now that I'm the guy and I'm in this spot, I'm going to give it to somebody else that's done the same thing I've done, which is fight forever and not be recognized, and that's going to be George Masvidal. I only offer you that piece of history because Nate's a huge fight, and when Hooker's laying out what's potentially next for him, title fight, Ferguson, Conor McGregor, it sounds like he's laying out huge fights. And I think maybe Hooker isn't aware that he's on Nate Diaz's radar. How are we to interpret that? Am I right that Nate, through his compliments, actually will then go fight you? Or is there something else at play here? But I do think as Hooker lays out what is next or what is potentially next, and when you do factor in the card of Nate Diaz, Nate's got a history with Poirier as well. The big question going into this fight is, what are they fighting for? It's a big question on every single fight. What does this fight signify? What is this for? Why are we here? Are we just here for entertainment? Are we just here because nobody else was here? I mean, sometimes that happens, but whatever the story is, we do have to identify the why, right? 5 W's, who, what, when, where, why. And I do think when you look at anybody at 155, the why is the most challenging question because of the depth, because of how log-jammed it is, because you've got a champion who cannot fight till September, already has an opponent. You have Conor McGregor, allegedly retired. I mean, you see what I'm saying? There's just a lot of moving parts. And the why, what do I get? Do I just get a little prestige and a bigger paycheck? Okay. That would be reminiscent of 99% of fights out there. But when you have a main event, you do need a storyline and you do need a why. I think Hooker is doing a very good job of letting us know potential whys. Why do I want to win? Why does this fight matter? What is going to happen with a victory? I like the options he threw out. Hooker, I will see your three. I'll see your Tony Ferguson. I'll see your title fight. I'll see your McGregor, and I'll raise you a Nate Diaz.